My name's Ken Kilgore. I'm currently employed at Johnson & Johnson in their Janssen Pharmaceutical Division, mainly doing research and discovery work. And the way that we found out was my father was diagnosed with a very aggressive form of T-cell lymphoma. And after doing some research, we sent him to a GI person who diagnosed him with celiac disease. With your immune system constantly being stimulated over and over again throughout the years, in the case of my father, was that it ultimately resulted in this form of aggressive cancer. And ultimately, he did pass away from that about just a little over a year after he was initially diagnosed with the disease. We actually went and talked to some physicians there and decided to get the entire family tested because of the strong genetic component with celiac, and it was decided that not only would I get tested and my sister, my other sibling, but our kids as well. And when all was said and done, after all the testing, I came out as being positive. My sister was negative, but her two sons were positive, and one of my daughters was also strongly positive, and another who was somewhat borderline. So what was really interesting about that was 2003, probably about 9 years later, so fairly recently, my mother was diagnosed as well. So I had actually both parents diagnosed with celiac at different times. It's obviously had a major impact on my life. I lost my best friend to it, but I also consider with my father's passing that he was the real hero in this whole story, because without his sacrifice I wouldn't have been diagnosed, and my child and a number of my nephews, we just would not have known about this until much later, and who knows, it may have been too late for us by that time as well. We've actually had issues, I think, where our difficulties have laid really is not so much with our immediate family, so my sister and her children and myself and my children. It's been more of the extended family that we've had very difficult time getting tested or convincing to get tested. And I think a lot of it is confusion on what celiac disease really is, the fact that it couldn't happen to me. I think a couple of messages. One is really the ends justify the means. To get tested, to find out definitively whether you have the disease or not is easy, very straightforward. I think that people who just ignore the situation and pretend it doesn't exist is playing a very, very dangerous game. So, and considering the ease of diagnosis, in essence, why not? I think the other thing that I would stress to people is you really also need to be well versed on the disease itself and to know what to look for and to be able to communicate with your doctor.